Hmm. Hi, good evening everyone. So, in today class, I will discuss the one more question that is on our Gear Up for Mains 2023 series. In this series, we are discussing the question of the PYQ mains, and we are telling about what are the main demand of the question and how you can enrich your answers whenever you are writing the question in the mains examination, how you can enrich your answer. So it's a very important thing whenever you are trying to write an answer. So you need to be look at the main component of the question. Hi filmmakers, hello. Okay, so let's start the question of the day 5. The question was given to you in the morning. The safeguarding the Indian art heritage is the need of the moment. Safeguarding the Indian art and heritage is the need of the moment. Why? So if I say here, the keyword is the safeguarding. Safeguarding the Indian art and heritage is the need of the moment. So if I say, initially we need to know what is the significance of art and heritage, that's why it's required the safeguard. किसी भी चीज का सेफगार्ड कब करते हैं हम लोग? जब उसका बहुत वैल्यू है, इट्स हैविंग द हाई इफेक्ट इन द कंट्री, it's deriving the multiple things, that thing requires safeguarding. So it's required about the what is the significance, what is the significance of Indian art heritage. What is the significance? And second, we will write here why safeguarding is required. Why safeguarding of heritage is required. And then we will conclude and we will write the way forward in the answer. So the main component of this question is we need to write about what is the significance and why the safeguard of Indian art heritage is required. So let's start with the introduction part first. Anybody can tell me about what is the meaning of Indian art heritage? Because the question is completely about the Indian art heritage. Indian art heritage may be include like music. It can also be dance. Some monuments like Taj Mahal, Sanchi Stupa, some temples. Maybe it's about the caves Ajanta and Ellora. It can also be some art forms like the Dokra art in the West Bengal. So the thing, you will define what is the Indian art heritage in the introduction itself. And you will define with the examples like music, like dance, and some of the other art forms, some monuments, some temples which are related to the Indian art and heritage. Pratima, safeguarding it from that is threats and how safeguards. Yes, safeguarding it from threats. So we will first identify what is the significance of the Indian art heritage and the why the safeguard. Yes, some of the tangible form, intangible forms in the form of sculptures that can also be included in the Indian art and heritage. So in the introduction, you can write about you can define the Indian art heritage and you can write the examples related to some of the temples, some of the stupa, some of the dance forms, some of the art forms you can easily define. You can write about the emblem which represent the nation pride. You can also write about the Vedas, Rig Veda, Sam Veda, from where we having a heritage. Jahans we have the knowledge of the medicine, knowledge of the song, knowledge of the music. Okay, so in introduction, you will define the Indian art heritage with writing of some of the example there. Clear to everyone? Okay, now introduction is clear. Now move to the second part of the question, which is the body, and in which you need to be write the two part here. One is the significance. What is the significance of Indian art heritage? And second is the need for preservation. Second is the need for preservation. So let's come to the first part, significance. If you see the national heritage or Indian art heritage sometimes represent the national identity. We can say the stupa from Ashokan time, the national emblem, which is a national identity, is a part of Indian heritage. Yes. So you can write about they are a pride to the nation. They are representing the national identity. And you need to write an example here. You can give the example of the stupa. You can give the example of the emblem. From the arts, the tangible art, give us the information about the medicine, give us the information about the dance. You can give the example of Veda, Rig Veda, Sam Veda, from where we are getting our ancient knowledge, the knowledge of Ayurveda. That is also from the Indian art heritage. Some of the information related to the science and technology, some of the related information to the some techniques, that is also from the art heritage. Here you can write the example of the dancing girl from the Indus Valley civilization site. From the wax technique they formed the dancing girl. From the infrastructure point of time, from the infrastructure point, you can quote the example of Indus Valley civilization drainage structure. You can quote the Indus Valley civilization drainage structure, which is strong till now. If you see in the Pakistan, the site is damaged due to the heavy floods. But the drainage that was working from the Indus Valley civilization is still active now. You can also give an example of the the example of the Ayappam temple, an engineering marvel. An engineering marvel, Ayappam temple. Which is giving us information about the knowledge, about the engineering skill from that time. So this is an also example of the Indian art heritage significance. Yes, from the economic perspective, you can give the example of the like Banyan Buddha. Banyan Buddha site recently damaged in the Afghanistan. If these sites are converted as a visitor sites, then they can help in the economic development of the country. So that from the economic perspective, these sites also have significance. Okay, So in this case, so there are the various significance or some of the other significance you can say from our Ramayana, Mahabharata. On a single characters, there are the various films and the movies. Recent example, you can add the Adipurush, which is giving you as a revenue generation in economic development, help in the economic development. Our medicinal knowledge, our Ayurveda knowledge, that's our part of heritage, which is helping us in the development of a new technology also, the new help in the medicinal system also. So they are having in the information in the form of the art, in the form of the skills, in the form of the science and technology. Yes, also in the form of the India as a soft power. It's a good example. And they also represent a different religions in a single form. If you see a point in Ayodhya, there are both the Muslim sides, masjid, and the Hindu side as a temple. It represents a kind of amalgamation between different religions. Also tell about the unity of the religions in the country. So it's also giving us the religion view, it's also giving us the technology view, it's also telling us about the infrastructure. It's also telling us about the how these can help in the economic development, how it can present the nation pride. If you see the seventh wonder of the world, Taj Mahal, as a nation pride, a heritage site. So in the first part of the answer, you can quote all these things with example. If you are writing the example, that's your answer will be enriched. And you are writing the real time example, it will be a very benefiting to you. Okay, so now come to the second part. If we if we see as significance, if we are list down in the form of some points, so you can say art as a source of history. Art as a source of history. Like you can give the example of caves, Ajanta caves, about telling about the Buddha, telling about Jataka story. You can give the example of Ellora caves. You can give the example of Bagh caves. Then heritage as a symbol of unity. I told you, you can give the example of Ayodhya. Art as a skill. Dokra art in the West Bengal. You can give the example of the Dokra art. Some of the painting arts, some of the paintings, some of the music. Art as a skill. Then you can also give the heritage as a national identity. You can give the national emblem. You can give the example of Taj Mahal. This is the art as a heritage identity. Influence in the freedom struggle? Yes. India is for Indians, Swami Dayanand, during the freedom struggle. This is the significance of Indian art and heritage. You can also add some of the points here about the technology, giving us about the technology. Like you can give the example of a dancing girl, Hotwax technology. You can give the example of engineering marvel, Ayappam temple. Also, you can give some of the examples related to our Ayurveda from like Rigved, Samved, medicinal system. So this is the significance of the Indian art and heritage. So you can write in the form of the flow chart to save your time, but the example is required here. Now let's come to the second part. Why the need of preservation? क्यों है हमें required for preservation? Okay. If we are taking the recent example, the example of Indus Valley civilization site from Pakistan. The site was damaged due to the recent floods. If the site is preserved and it has an open air for the visitors, it will generate some of the income for the country as economic perspective. As a heritage site, we can learn something from it. The technology, the infrastructure, the urban development they use in that site. If we, real-time example of the Banyan Buddha in Afghanistan. After the takeover of the Taliban, they damaged the Banyan Buddha statue. That can also create the income for the country. So why the preservation is required? Economic angles. Some of the dancing art form, some of the paintings, art forms, through skills, they are generating the revenue for the individual. They are generating the revenue for the individual. So if we are not preserving them, we will lose them. So this is the one of the example of how they are generating the revenue for the individual person and why the preservation is required. And one of the major issue you can see the theft and the smuggling in the country. You will not believe, from the Amir Khusro house there is a theft of all the music instrument that person was using. In 2016 almost. Smuggling of the idols. Smuggling of some of the heritage art, like the swords of some of the kings and some of the like a Vedas culture. Smuggling of the idols. Even you see some of the news related to US returning some of the idols to the India, UK is returning some of the idols to the India. So due to the theft and the smuggling, the preservation is required. Next is climate change effect. Climate change effect. The best example is Taj Mahal. The yellowishness of the white Sangmarmar due to the climate change. If I am specific, due to the acid rain, due to the pollution of the industry nearby. And this is a national identity in the world. If I am giving the example of the pillar in the Qutub Minar, the iron pillar, the rusting of the iron pillar at the Qutub Minar, that's also the issue. So there is also the climate change effect related issue there. So that's why the preservation is required. Let's come to the third part, the role of the public. Public awareness is required. If some of the people is visiting at the heritage sites, they are spreading the plastic bottles, the wrappers. So we need a campaign like the Swachh Bharat, so the people or the public can involve. They are aware about the value of the heritage sites, the value of the Indian heritage. We need to teach them. So the public awareness about the heritage is the most important thing for the preservation of the heritage. You can see the example of terrorism. They target those sites in 2002, Akshardham attack. In 2008, they attack on the Taj Mahal Hotel in Mumbai. That the specific targeted sites by the terrorist, they're targeting the heritage site to damaging any country emotionally, economically, as well as also they are showing that they are targeting the most secured site of the country. They are damaging the heritage site of the country. So preventing the terrorism attack, we need the preservation. Then next is losing the significance in the present time. You can see the dance form, Bharatanatyam. They are losing the significance. Playing of veena, bansuri, and some of the others music. In the present time, they are losing their significance. So we need to prevent, we need to preserve our heritage in the form of music, in the form of art, in the form of some culture, in the form of paintings. We require to save it. Yes, Pratibha and the AK, these can be the way forward. What we can do. This can be the way forward, but we are talking of why the preservation is required. This can be the next part that you are writing here. That is the next part of the answer. Next, we can say there is not a stringent, strong law. If anybody is damaging the heritage site, there should be a strong law related to it. Recently, there was a news related to Delhi. A person who was involving in the Indian services, Indian civil services, they damaged a heritage site and built a bungalow there. So we require a strong law and we need to preserve these sites. So we will write these points with examples. Why the heritage site need preservation. I hope clear till now. One, the introduction, we will define the Indian heritage, we will give some example. Example of music, we can give example of art, example of monument, example of temple. Then we will write the significance. We discuss about the significance. We will write the significance in the tabular form. We can write in the form of the flow chart. That will save our time. But the example with each point is required. Then the next is the need for the preservation. We will quote the example with each and every point. Now, the last part of the answer, that is the way forward. Way forward. What can be done? We can do a public-private partnership. Like we can do a public-private partnership. There is a scheme of the government of India, adopt a heritage scheme. Adopt a heritage scheme. You can give the example of like the Lal Killa is maintained by the Dalmia Group. So, through the public-private partnership, this can be managed. Second example you can give, like the government is working on it, development of the corridors on the heritage sites. Like the corridors, like the Kashi Vishwanath corridor. Kashi Vishwanath corridor. The government is building the corridor nearby. Similarly, they are building another corridor like in Mathura. They are building another corridor related to the preservation of the heritage sites. सो थ्रू द पब्लिक प्राइवेट पार्टनरशिप हो सकता है, कॉरिडोर्स बना के हो सकता है. Allotment of the financial, like we can say if we are allotting a proper financial source, we can maintain our heritage sites. So finance is also play a very role, economic perspective से, so finance is also required. Education, education to masses about the value of our heritage. Yes, Pratima, it's a monument mitra. Government adopted monument mitra that also helpful in the preservation of heritage sites, art heritage. We need to preserve our culture also. We need to preserve our art forms, dance forms, even some of the other thing. That can be done through various schemes. Even there can be the role of the corporate. There can also be the role of corporate, na? Yes, in the DPSP, in the fundamental rights, written about the preservation of the heritage preservation. But we need the more stronger law. Like this sign need to be like a treaty, like the UNESCO. There is a treaty of the UNESCO related to the heritage. So the many of the countries didn't sign it till now. तो treaty को भी sign होना, एक strong law बनना is a requirement for the heritage, preservation of the heritage. Yes, Buddhist circuit. Yes, this is a good example. They are creating the Buddhist circuit as well. And in some of the schemes, they are linking all the heritage sites, religious heritage sites in a circuit. So, in the way forward, you can list down the ratification of the UNESCO 1970 convention. Most of the nations did not ratify it till now. In the PPP, they can adopt a heritage scheme. So, heritage schemes के अंदर they can do like adopt a heritage scheme under the private partnership. जो हमारे traditions हैं, जो हमारे knowledge हैं, that's the knowledge of Ayurveda, the knowledge of medicine, the knowledge of engineering, they need to be documented. In the most of the cases, our past knowledge is not documented. We need some patent. You can take the example of the most commonly used spices in the house. Turmeric. Then the fund for the maintenance of the heritage sites and the skill. जो skills हैं specifically, like they are developing the Hunar Haat for selling their paintings. So that kind of initiative is also required. So this is the way forward. You can write and give the examples. So in the three parts of the question, you will write the introduction first. In the introduction, you will define the Indian art heritage with some example. Then in the body part, you will write about the significance. You will list down the 5-6 points with the example you will write there. Then in the second part of the body, you will write the why. Why the preservation of Indian art heritage is required. You will give the points and will write the example. Then in the way forward, you will write these points and you will quote some example there. If you are writing in these kinds, and out of the 10, you can easily get the 5 and 6. That also matter with your presentation. Okay. So if you are new to the discussion, I will suggest please write the answer first, then attend this discussion and submit your answer to the portal so it can be evaluated by our mentor. We are launching our test series, GS main support program and test series. The specific components, we will take a discussion in the same way. We will pick the important points there. What can be done? It's important for those who are giving in the mains in 2023 or 2024. It's designed on that basis. There are some of the components, like on Tuesday we will do the PYQ analysis. On Thursday we will do a practice test. On Sunday we will do a sectional test. And every Monday there will be a discussion. So if you're interested, those who are giving the mains this year, those who are preparing for the next year also, this is a offering from our side. Yes, you can write about the Ustad scheme, you can write about the Lalit Kala Sahitya Academy for the preservation of some of the skills, dancing skills, National School of Drama. Those are preserving our heritage, art and heritage. Yes, you can write, Pratima. Okay. So we will meet now on Monday with the new question. Please try to write the answer and submit it to your portal so it can be evaluated by our mentor. Okay, thank you very much.